Hi everybody, my name is Doug Wilson and this is Yellow Hawk Customs Outdoors, the Hawk's Nest vlog. I'm going to try to post this on the YouTube channel as well. I was talking to John Mistro yesterday, I think, and he suggested that I do a video on the Delta Whiskey Infinity, right? It's my design. It's built by LT Wright at LT Wright Custom Knives, and they do a bang-up job on this knife. I am very pleased with how they turn out. He stuck to my design faithfully, and I appreciate that in a knife maker. I work with several knife makers who make several of my designs, and some of them stick to the design verbatim, some don't. And occasionally there is a circumstance where something needs to be changed a little bit, like the handle. It's usually the handle that gets changed, right? Because every knife maker has his own style, right? So, I'm going to do a video on the Delta Whiskey Infinity, but more importantly, this is a video answering the question, are you going to do a second run in CPM3V? Yes. Okay. This is the official video for that question, right? I already have about, I don't know, maybe 12 names. I need 20 names at least to do a run. Okay, so you guys who really want one, I mean, I know I get a text from the same 3 or 4 guys every other week, right? If you're one of those guys that wants a CPM3V Infinity, right, and we may be going for custom scales as well, I may take your specific order and then turn it over to LT Wright, and I'll just do all the orders at one time. Okay, so say you want I don't know, purple micarta scales. I'm going to turn that over to him, right? And that'll be your order assigned to you. So if you order it, you have to pay for it, because here's what's going to happen. I'm probably going to ask for a deposit that is non-refundable, right? A non-refundable deposit of $150, all right? So that if you do want to cancel, you're going to lose that $150, because I may have a hard time selling your knife because somebody may not want those scales or whatever, right? So that's the way it's going to run. This is an extremely unique wilderness EDC knife, right? And the reason I designed it is because, we already have the Delta Whiskey Backcountry, which is a full-on survival knife, right? It's not so huge that you don't want to carry it, but not small enough to do bigger tasks, that kind of thing, right? And that is an extremely unique geometry as well on that knife. I tell you, I took my 40-plus years of experience in the bush and in special operations and developed, a weird-looking knife or a weird-looking couple of knives that work well in the bush. This knife here, as an EDC, does everything that I need it to do, including skinning, right? That's where knives generally fail, right? In the skinning department. This has got a nice wide belly to it. It's you can skin squirrel, raccoon, possum, deer, elk, whatever you want. And I have guys out there doing all this, right? I get emails and texts on a weekly basis. Hey, Doug, man, I just skinned a shrew with the Delta Whiskey Infinity, right? All right. So the reason I designed this particular knife is because I wanted an EDC that would do everything I needed to do in the field. And that is pretty much everything but full-on chopping wood. And this will chop as well. Small chopping, right? You're building a bow drill set and you need to chop it down, you know, that kind of thing, right? Or you're doing tent stakes and you want to chop the ends off, right? It's got a 90-degree spine. This is 01 tool steel. We are going to be doing a CPM3V run. So I'm wishing guys would respond to this video. And I'm asking you guys to share this video in as many forums as you can get it into. Okay? I've never really asked guys to do that before because I don't like marketing my designs. I don't like doing that, right? I want the design to stand on its own merit, right? I want an experienced outdoorsman, and that's usually the way it works. An experienced outdoorsman looks at this knife and says, yeah, I want one, right? He's right. I think that would be great in the bush, right? So I'd rather it go on its own merit, right? Be sold on its own merit. So there it is, Delta Whiskey Infinity. This one is 01 tool steel. That was the first run. This is my prototype. It gets used all the time, right? This is my most used heavy-duty knife in the field. Most used, right? Like I said, the backcountry, that's a full-on wilderness survival knife. Like something you would take in a really heavy situation, right? You got to build shelters or whatever, and you don't have an axe or whatever. That's the knife you take, right? All right. 90-degree spine. Got this thumb ramp right here, okay? But it's not really a thumb ramp. It's also a filler, right? For when you choke up on the blade here, right? And I believe in choke up choils. It takes this 6-inch blade, makes it a 4.5, 5-inch blade. Let's be conservative, right? Choke up on it, okay? The finger choil, the main finger choil, the main finger guard goes between your two fingers here, right? And you choke up as far as you can. As far as you can. The spine is rounded right here, so you're not going to hurt the webbing of your finger, right? This is where it's 90 degree. From here up, okay? But you're not going to hurt the webbing of your hands. And this is your choke up position, okay? And you can see how far you can choke up with this knife, basically turning it into a pocket knife, right? And giving you a whole lot of leverage for really pushing, right? Really doing some wood hogging, right? It does come with a bow drill divot. You don't have to get one if you don't want to, but I include it because it's a no-brainer, right? And it does work. I have a video on my website or my YouTube channel of one of my students, right, taking this knife right here and getting a coal with it by using the bow drill divot. Okay? Pretty sure he was using this knife. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was. Anyway, it works. I use it all the time. There's another video in there somewhere of me in my bedroom getting a coal with the Delta Whiskey Backcountry, which has what Mike Wallace calls a pyro plug on it. Same type of deal, right? So they do work. I know they do because I've done the testing, right? I know there's a lot of guys. There's some guys out there. Oh, you don't need a bow drill divot on a knife. They don't work. Oh, you need a real bearing block. Yeah, okay. Right? It just depends on who you are. Look, the more you know, the less you need. Right? It's pretty smart, right? And Murphy's Law is going to snap you in the ass every time. All right? Profound Coke bottle handle. Extremely comfortable. There are no sharp edges on this knife whatsoever. everything is rounded. You know how you see some knives, right? You know, they got a rounded choil here or whatever, but there's real sharp edges on the spine. I mean, on the back of the handle where the pinky notch is, right? And you go to chop with it, and it starts digging into your hand. And, you know, those are the kind of knives that are all looks, but only a little bit of function, right? I want to design a knife that is completely comfortable in the hand. No sharp edges, okay? None that are going to contact your hand in any way, right? It's got thumb scallops, you know, for shaving and whatnot. Got that choke-up choil. It's got a you know, medium Scandi grind, medium height Scandi grind. The rest of it is a flat grind, of course. 90-degree spine. It is rounded here. All the other edges are rounded. All the other edges of this knife are rounded. Okay? There's the profile. Like I said, the CPM3V run, I need, I don't know, 10 more guys. Let's say 10 more guys, right? If you think that I might have missed you or something, say it again. Hey, Doug, I know you got my name, but I want to make sure I'm on the list, right? And if your name is on the list, eventually I'm going to be asking for a deposit, $150 deposit, non-refundable, okay? Delta Whiskey Infinity, the production versions, right? This, like I said, this is the prototype, and I use it all the time. The prototype has a slightly fatter handle than the rest of them, okay? Unique design, and it's designed for maximum ergonomics, both in the handle and the blade, right? And skinning is a big deal with this knife. You can do it, man. You know, it's just, it's a skinning blade. You can skin with it. All right? And a whole lot of other stuff. It's a slicer. It's a chopper. It's a, you know. I look at this knife and say, full-on function. That's what I see. Are there other knives on the market that are full-on function? Sure. Everybody has their own idea of what a full-on function knife is. Right? Well, this is mine. Alright, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video. Please share it. I am drumming up a list for another run of the Delta Whiskey Infinity. Infinity, right? That means everything. All inclusive, right? Does it all. And you know, you hear these comments, oh, there is no one knife that can do it all. Technically that is true, right? Technically that is true. But this thing does a lot pretty well, right? Including bigger tasks like chopping. All right, it's got enough weight for it. You can pound shit with the pommel, right? The pommel sticks out in the back. Just all kinds of neat features in this knife. Okay, so let's go over the sheath system. Okay, so this is how it works. You get put on the list for the CPM3V version. Run, whatever. You're probably going to have your choice of a handle scales or whatever. I haven't decided yet what's going to happen. The more you do with a knife, the more logistics that are involved and the more complicated it gets. The more paperwork, the more things you got to remember, etc., etc., right? So, you order the knife from me. Okay, you give me a $150 deposit right away, right? There's no waiting, you know, well, I'll give you a $150 deposit when the knives come in. No, it doesn't work that way. $150 deposit secures your place on the list, right? It is non-refundable. So if you pull out and say, hey, I can't do this, the $150 is non-refundable. okay? Because I may not be able to sell that knife again. It's going to be built for you, okay? So this is a knife and sheath system. I really like to do knife and sheath systems because the sheath is not only built for you, but it's designed and built for the knife as well, okay? So here's a system here, right? Here's the Delta Whiskey Infinity. This is the prototype. And here's a typical system that you might want to order. Now this has quite a few different options on it, and I'll go over all of them real quick, okay? It's got a 3-layer Tabby Dangler, okay? Now, in my opinion, this Tabby Dangler system, right, is the strongest on the market, okay? When you go to buy a KYDEX sheath, you can go cheap, and most guys build them cheaper because they're less expensive to build that way, okay? So they use thinner KYDEX, they use less layers where you need strength, that kind of thing, right? So, in my opinion, because I get a lot of sheaths that come through this shop, right? The major flaw, I guess I see, is they're not strong enough. Most of them that come through this shop aren't strong enough, especially if it's a belt hanger, right? That has a belt loop of some sort. Generally, guys hang the whole sheath and the knife off of just 1 layer of KYDEX. Right here we have 3 layers of at least 093. Okay, 3 layers, making it extremely strong, right? You know what? Mil spec? Forget mil spec. These are stronger than mil spec. Okay? Alright, so Tabby Dangler. The reason why I do the Tabby Dangler is so I can have this guy right here on the sheath at all times. If I do an offset plate like this, let me find it. Okay, this is an option. This is what most guys will do, right? They'll give you an offset plate, right? Kind of sits there like that on the sheath. An offset plate, generally, you can't put a tech lock on it in the right position and have it on there at all times. With a Tabby Dangler, you can. There's nothing in the way, right? This is in the way of properly mounting a tech lock. I've seen guys do it, right? I've seen guys do it, but it's not in the right position if you're using an offset plate. It's usually further down on the sheath, which really makes that thing droop. It's not balanced right, okay? Anyway, you just got to trust me on this if you don't understand what I'm saying, all right? So, versatility, that's one of the reasons. The other reason is it's super strong. Stronger than any other system I've ever used. And we will do an offset plate if you want it, but ours are really thick. See that? Got 1 layer of 125 and another layer of, this happens to be 096, right? Which makes it very strong. But you can still bend them. You know what I mean? And if you bend them too far, this one, I don't think you're going to break it. That's pretty damn strong. But if it's a 1 layer or a 2 layer 080 or whatever, it's easy to crease it. And once it's creased, bent backwards, it's done, right? You ruin the sheath and you could be compromised in the field because of it. Okay? This is all about durability in the field for me, right? Okay, so we're starting on the back here. You got a oiled and waxed, and I do all this myself, burnished, got logos on it, leather belt loop, right? Generally, I use Herman Oak. Sometimes I dye it myself, sometimes I don't. It depends. You know, all the edges are burnished, nice and pretty, and, you know, all that leather worker cool stuff, right? It's secured. There are no snaps on this belt loop, so nothing to come undone inadvertently, okay? In my opinion, snaps are a liability in the field, okay? Like I said, 40 plus years in the field and in special ops, I've seen a lot of snaps come undone and guys lose knives because of them. whole sheath and knife because of snaps that come undone. Okay, so I generally do not like to use them. So ours are screwed on, right? So not coming apart. Now, Murphy's Law says check these screws once in a while. There's still screws that can loosen up. I don't use Loctite. I leave that up to you. If you want to put Loctite on them, just remember this. If you do, you're not taking this belt loop off. It's very difficult to get that Loctite, you know, to break free. All right? So, just tighten them up. It's good to go. Right? And this one also has a small Altoids tin on the bottom here, right? And it clicks in there. It's not going anywhere, right? It's secure, right? It's not hard to get out, right? Very secure. These things are built like brick shit houses. I make sure of it, right? Because I know that you guys want the best possible sheath system in the field, and that's what we give you here, right? Okay? So, you can also take this tech lock off and put a molly clip on there. Right there. That's where it goes. Right? You take the tech lock off, the molly lock clip, so you can put it on your pal's webbing or whatever. Okay? Sometimes I'll give you a situation where you can put two on there. Right? Two molly locks. So basically what you have here is you got the ceramic. This is a ceramic rod. Now I just filled up these holders with stuff. Okay, they don't necessarily go with this particular sheath. I had to do this for the video, right? So all I have on here is a pocket clip just holding it on. So we have a ceramic. Usually it's in there with mil-spec shock cord with a little flag handle on it. So ceramic, fine ceramic rod, or a standalone diamond rod, or a small diamond rod, or one of my bigger diamond rods, these here, right? This is a different one. This is for a scar. The scar knife, this thing's different. It's just different, right? And I tell you what, man. That's all I got to say. Click. Okay, so what happens is the ceramic or the diamond rod sharpener holder wraps around, and that becomes a mount plate. See it? Mounting plate. That's how I do a lot of my sheath systems. Let's turn it over. You got a Mish Metal ferro rod on the bottom here, and you have an LDO2 tactical light up here that you can use in several different positions, and you can also take it out and use it as a handheld flashlight. Sometimes I do not put shock cord on there. Sometimes I do. It depends on how secure it is, blah, 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 blah. And some guys absolutely want the redundant retention. So I give it to them, right? This is Cryptek Highlander and OD carbon fiber. That's what this sheath is, right? And this knife happens to fit in here pretty well, right? Actually, it's kind of perfect. You don't usually get that. These are hand-built knives. These are custom blades, right? And it just so happens that my prototype fits in this sheath. A client sent this sheath back to me to have some stuff done to it. Extra options put on, right? He wanted this guy here and an LDO2, so that's what I did for him, right? But my prototype happens to fit in here. And I'm using this as an example for the sheath system. Okay, so that's what it looks like when it's hanging on your belt. I can make this as long or short as you want. We can also make it a leather leg drop without the D-ring. Okay, I call it a 3-layer tabby leg drop, right? We also have scuba webbing. I like scuba webbing because it's lighter and impervious to weather, right? Even though it's oiled and waxed and damn near waterproof, you're going to have to keep treating it to keep it that way. And in my experience, when it rains hard, it's going to get wet anyway. Eventually, this leather is going to soak. All right, that's one of the downfalls of leather generally across the board. I don't care what you put on it. Ooh, see that? That's me throwing stuff together. I I don't care what you put on the leather. Eventually, if it rains hard enough and it's out there long enough, it's going to get soaked. And it doesn't take much. Leather's like a sponge when it comes to water, right? So, and like I said, if you don't have that experience, you just got to trust me with this, okay? You can treat them, but it's still going to get wet. It is, all right? And then I got the striker on the back here. I just kind of jam it under the thing. That you do whatever you want with it. But these are very effective. I've heard guys say that these are junk. They're junk because most guys don't know how to use them, right? I think you need like an instruction manual for this. There's a burr on the shorter end generally, okay? You see how this is a longer end here, right? You got that point right there? Well, the shorter end has a burr on it right here, generally, right? And that's what you strike the ferro rod with. Extremely effective, lightweight, just great little strikers, and it's got a little lanyard hole. I just stick it in there for the client, and he can put it wherever he wants. Okay? So, there it is. The Delta Whiskey Infinity Knife and Sheath System. You order the sheath system from me as well. Okay? So what happens is, you order the knife, $150 deposit, the knife comes in, and you and I work on building a sheath together, right? You tell me what you want. You go to my website, check it out, tell me what you want on it. We converse or text back and forth, and then I build the sheath system for your knife and then send it to you, okay? That's the way it works, right? It takes a little while because, you know, if I do a run of 25 or 30 of them, it takes me a while to do all the sheaths. So first come, first serve, right? So the first guy on the list that I have here is Warren Perkins, okay? Warren Perkins, Chris Leatherman, Jonathan Nolan, Dave Rosenwig, etc., 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 right? On down the line. I don't want to say too many names. Some guys get irritated at that. But, you know, like Warren Perkins is going to be the first one to have his sheath system made. Because he's the first one that said he wanted one. If he gives me his $150, then he's locked in, and that's the way it is. All right, guys. There it is. Hope you enjoy it. In my opinion, this system is the most effective in the field. I don't know of any other system, knife and sheath system on the market anywhere near like this, right? I just don't know of any. There may be, but like I said, I draw on 40 plus years of experience as an avid outdoorsman, adventure outdoorsman, whatever you want to call it. Former special ops. I learned a lot in the military about how to carry weapons, right? How to safely and efficiently carry a knife in whatever way you want to carry it, okay? So there it is. That's what I bring to the table. I hope you guys take advantage of this. Yes, they are pricey, right? The knife itself is going to be about, give or take, I don't know yet, $300 for the knife. Probably a little bit over $300, okay? CPM3V, unique knife. You can't get it anywhere else but me, right? You can't order it from LT Wright. He won't sell it to you. It has to go through me. That's the deal, all right? And then the sheath system. This sheath system here is upwards of $250, maybe more. If I got to actually tally everything up. But, all right, guys. See ya.